The Moreness Show with hosts Sil and Bina is about to bring depth and value into your life.
Hello and welcome to the Moreness Show with Sil and Bina, and we are here again. And today we have a most interesting and kind of like an unusual topic today, because last show, Sil mentioned that in our discussion that he's going to talk about deliberate creativity. This is completely opposite or against the idea of creativity we have, because we assume that kind of assumption, kind of idea about creativity is that it is innate, it is natural, it has to just come out naturally, you cannot do anything about it, and all sort of these type of idea. But when someone says that you can be deliberately creative, this is a completely different thing and kind of very interesting, and could be a sigh of relief for many of us who assume that we cannot do anything about it, like having a writer's block or like any kind of like stagnation for artists. It is very common, and this is something Sil is going to talk about today. Welcome to the show, Sil.
You too. Welcome, Bina. Welcome. I like welcoming us to our own show. I like that.
Oh yes,
just part of Moreness culture, that it's always welcoming and open and sharing and caring, and it's fantastic. Bina, I'm thinking about your day yesterday, but anyway, just Moreness culture. Bina had a most magical day, and I just want to mention it real quick. It's a long story, and we'll another time maybe she's gonna write it out. But the reason I mention it is because this is Moreness-Living. When you have interactions and it was ordinary things, but in a very special way, very profound, very significant, just magical and fantastic. So Moreness, that's part of Moreness-Living, is that things around you are affected as well. And with deliberate creativity, this is just, it's sort of a very specialized part of it, but it's just an understanding of our Moreness-Psychology. Wouldn't you say, Bina? And utilizing that Moreness-Psychology, right?
Yes.
So the whole idea about...
I was just trying to, for our viewers, I was just trying to be completely new here, like, okay, we have something like that.
Right.
I have no idea,
Bina
but
knows.
Actually,
you talk about it, Bina. You talk about it. I listen.
but I know about it because Sil actually made it possible for me. And the first time was really, really amazing for me. I was like...
Tell me, because I've forgotten. I've forgotten.
Okay,
in detail.
It was just, he didn't name it like a deliberate creativity, but he actually made me deliberately creative. So we were doing something for fun. It was about creativity. It was about art, but we were not getting exactly what we were looking for in that specific course. It is for especially for artists. And when I was doing that, I had no idea. Like always, I was just jumping in blindly that, okay, this is what I want. Completely intuitive thing. And I still said, okay, yes, if you want to do this, go ahead, and I'm going to do that. And I must say that I would not be able to get what I got if Sil would not be there, because everything would be like, okay, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, because it was, okay, it was not bad, but it was not sorted in a specific way. You can give it a like, okay, artistic privilege or artistic margin to that, but this is how the course was. And one day we got an assignment. An assignment was like about, okay, create something, and they were trying to give you hints and of course ideas about that. And Sil used to do this before that. Many times he used to do this because I had my own, you can say, a column, which his name was Verbal Selfie. And I was writing that. I was trying to write that. It was like once a year, something kind of thing. And hence, because I said, okay, it is not coming out still, so I cannot write it. And then he says that, Bina, just sit and start writing with having no idea at all. Just start writing. And I said, but how can I do this? It's all sort of questions, all sort of confusion.
I said, just start with the first word. Remember that? Yes. Doesn't matter what you think afterwards, just with one word.
Exactly.
And what else did I say?
Okay. And then when I started writing, and the moment I said, okay, yes, few words here and there, and then I said, okay, just let it go, Veena. Okay, whatever it is coming, complete
That was the
nonsense,
key,
nothing
because
making
I
sense.
had
Yes,
said just trust it, Veena.
yes. He says, trust the process. And I said,
Yes.
okay. And I started writing and I started creating. But what happens next? The things which were not making sense at all. Okay, grammar was poor, all sort of things, nothing making sense. In my mind, it was some sort of sense, but it was not on paper.
Well,
And then still says, write ugly, and then edit.
that's what I said. Write nonsense, write ugly. Edit pretty, write ugly. I said any writing can be improved with editing, but first we have to get it out. Yes.
Yes.
And that was the key, right? Anyway, carry on.
Yes. Okay. And that practice, it really gives me amazing poem. I'm saying it amazing because they are amazing for me. Because when I started writing, I had no idea what I'm going to do. That sometimes a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, but you don't know how to actually you are going to convey that. But still, just keep writing. And of course, it was not just that simple. That okay, keep writing. A lot of other things also involved into that. Even in deliberate creativity, because what still has, okay, I'm the fortunate one here, I can say that, okay, I got the training, world's best training for that process. Because in that process, you not only trust the process, but you also trust your own awareness, your own sensibility, your own impeccability, your own moreness also, that yes, it is going to come. And it is, I am practicing it right here because when I'm coming here, I was coming here for this show. The only idea I had in my mind, like, okay, I deliberate creativity, and that's it. No written material here, nothing, no discussion at all. We just jump in. And this is the result or the outcome of being deliberately creative. Be appropriate, be impeccable in your understanding. Just don't start saying nonsense, okay, randomly. Even your nonsense, which seem like nonsense to others or to yourself, making sense because it is coming from your subconscious. You have to work on your character first to have this type of subconscious also. Work on yourself and then trust the process. Then trust the process.
Yes. So Veena, when you wrote that first word, what happened immediately after?
The second came.
And then what happened?
And then it was a continuous thing. Third and the fourth and the fifth.
And the first one stimulated the second one, right?
Absolutely.
It prompted it. Yes.
It was pulling out.
Right. This is an understanding of how our brain works. But before I go there, let's focus on deliberate uncreativity. And you might say, oh, I see Veena's eyes going, I never heard that before.
Yes.
Right, okay. But I'm giving something a name that people do. They might call it artist block, creativity block, writer's block, all blocks, right? Blocks. Why are they blocked? Because they are being deliberately uncreative. You say, how? So I know I'm being mysterious. I'm making a point, right?
Yes.
Creating a mystery, yes. But the point is, they do this. Why? Because when they get ready, when they're going to sit down to write, or they get the easel and the paint, whatever creativity activity they're going to do, in their minds, they are trying to create a perfect creation.
Yes.
Where's the creativity in making something that's perfect?
Yes.
You think about it a little bit, well, you're just kind of copying what's already perfect. But okay, that's just me my philosophical side come out. But really, when you really think about this, what happens when you're trying to create what's perfect in your mind? You're looking to do your best, because we're so trained to always do our best. And the problem with that is we do not know what the perfect or the best thing will be. Your brain cannot create what it doesn't know. It's just a blank. It's a mystery, right?
Yes.
And you see writers, they'll sometimes, you see the cliche, you see it on TV, they write a bit and they'll crumple up the paper and throw it in a bit and write again, right? Because they constantly seeking that perfection, and it never comes. they may at some point say, okay, this is satisfactory, and they sort of give up the notion of perfection. But your brain is blocking you. Why? Because it does not know what perfection is. It's an impossibility for the brain to imagine, right? So it kills creativity. So when you are thinking, oh, I've got to do my best, that's when you actually crush creativity. You know this thing with deliberate creativity. Remember how it started, Bina? It started with my knucklehead-poetry. Remember?
Oh yes, wonderful story. Yes.
Yeah. So having some knucklehead in me, right? I don't know what percentage, but some part. Who knows? A quarter, tenth, a half. I don't know. Anyway, my knucklehead side one day got a song stuck in it in my head. Love, love, love you true. The Beatles song. But that's as far as it went. I could not remember the next line. No matter what I did, nothing came on it. So, yeah, I go, love, love, love you true. Now I remember it's love, love, love you true, love you like I do. But that second line on that particular day was not coming. Nope, nope, nope. But see, it's the brilliance of my brain. So love, love, love you true. But I had to finish it. I had to finish the rhyme. Just my innate tendency to finish things, to be complete, to be thorough. Okay, so I had to. So anyway, eventually I was like, all right, tell with it, love, love, love you true, love you like a shoe. Remember Peanut? I was singing it. Anyway, so all right, knucklehead-poetry. Okay, well, I mean, I do love my shoes. Shoes are very important. And I just, in my head came this whole creative fantasy, like the story, a very, simplistic fellow. And, to him, this was the most magical song. And he's singing it to his loved one, he's courting her under the window or whatever. And he's singing the song. And he's very honest because he really does love his shoes. The shoes are very important, When I grew up, you had basically two pairs of shoes. Right? You had your school shoes and you had your church shoes. And when you got home, you took them off. That's it. Ran around barefoot for the most time. Yeah. If you were lucky, you had sandals. It was such a big deal that even in the junior school I was in, you could go to school without shoes or wear sandals. Of course, just being a ridiculous knucklehead, I had these clogs, just wooden clogs with like a little band across the toe. Those were my sandals. Well, they said sandals. These are my sandals. Walk down those halls, clank, 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 clank. I mean, school passageways, right? They're very hard surfaces. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, so this idea, my song, love, love you true, love you like a shoe. This just, it stayed with me. And so I thought, well, how would that finish if you were to finish the song? And I think I did write it out, right, Bina? I think I made a poem out of it, right?
Yes, yes.
And this was one of the most difficult creative exercises I ever did. Now, you think, well, you're going to write nonsense, knucklehead poetry. No, the moment I started writing, I started getting more sensible and I started making a nice poem out of it. Now, go back again. It was a massive, massive effort to actually write knucklehead poetry. And, whoever was doing Way-Of-Impeccability at the time, so a bunch of people at the time, whoever it was, I challenged everybody. I said, write knucklehead poetry. Nobody really could do it. It's actually very, very difficult. Because your brain immediately, when you write something, your brain can improve it. This it knows to do. But to go right from zero to perfection, this it does not know to do, right? I mean, because we are constantly evaluating and critiquing, right? We watch something, I like it, I don't like it. So you have an idea how it could be better. We know this. So therefore, and that's where the thing came from, write ugly, edit pretty, right? It's my number one rule for writing. Write ugly, edit pretty. Also, when you look at stories, yes, just taking story writing now, and sometimes, you open the book and, you hear the guy's person, they're running, James heard something. What's going on? I'm like right in the middle of the action, all sorts of stuff is going on. You have no clue. They didn't start at the beginning because there aren't beginnings to stories. You can always go further back. I mean, somebody, Biala has a teaser. Go ahead, Bina. Go ahead.
Yes, just as you mentioned that right in the middle of the action, we have a short commercial break, and then
oh really? Oh, I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that. Oh, I'm getting all excited.
See you guys back again.
All right, bye.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Okay.
We're live.
Hello and welcome back to the Moreness Show with Sil and Bina. And before the break, Sil was saying something and I just stopped him right in the middle of the action. Okay, Sil, please continue.
Where was I?
Okay, you were telling us about
about stories in the middle, right?
Yes.
So the whole point about writing ugly and editing pretty is that if you and then I have a whole a book really, or I'm going to make it into a course called Writing Tips to Myself. I've written tons and tons and tons, and it's just in my nature to learn and go deeper and look at how, figure things out, in other words. That's just how I am. So in this Writing Tips for Myself, that's, the core one. I mean, there are lots of other little things, but really, it's about writing. Anyway, so when you're starting with this idea of writing ugly and then editing pretty, wherever you start, just keep in mind that your story doesn't have to start there. It can start anywhere. Yes, and actually starting right in the middle of the thick of things, this is a very good way to do. But that only is going to come later, right? So you need to get your brain involved in the process. This is the key. And how do you do this? First, you start writing just whatever nonsense you can think of. And then, just let it flow. This starts to stimulate the brain. Now, attention and emphasis. What makes all of this work is understanding the basic way our brains work, right? And this is, we went into this in detail in Way-Of-Impeccability. So by the time I shared this with Bina, she already had much of this, right? It was at her disposal. Our brains work via association and emphasis, right? With emphasis, what happens is you literally enlarge nodes in your brain and you grow synapses and you connect things. But you have to give that a little bit of work to do, because it's hard to emphasize artificially. You kind of can, but it's not quite the same. But you can do so via attention, right? So you start writing. At some point, you get pulled into the writing. It's like when you watch a movie, right? In the beginning, you're aware of everything that's going on around you, and you hear the family making a noise, the neighbors, whatever. But then the mood gets and at some point you completely lose awareness of all of that stuff, right? You get sucked into the movie, right?
Yes.
We want to have this happen with our creative process. We want to get stuck into the painting. We want to get sucked into the writing. But you've got to give it a bit of time, because at first you're being all conscious, you're being all deliberative, and you're umming and ahhing and fussing. And no, just don't do that. Trust the process. Just blinking will write. That's it. Just blinking will paint. You can paint over it. You can cut it and edit it. Don't worry about it. The purpose of it is to get immersed. Yes, Bina, right? That's the first point I want to make. There are a bunch of other points, but that's the first one. Get stuck in, get immersed.
Okay, when you mentioned that, deliberate creativity, what I was getting that we have this problem that we want to be creative in a specific way, without realizing and acknowledging
exactly.
That we are creating something every single moment. We are creating something, which means that we are creative all the time. But we want to be creative in a very specific way, in a very specific field, in a very specific nature, and this is what we want. And then this causes a problem. Even when people say that, okay, I have a creative blockage or something I'm not able to create, and they are creating what they are creating in those moments. They are creating, of course, they are creating a lot of future realities for them. They are creating their future by continuously, because as Sil was mentioning about the emphasis, and also that we always try to harness things, even the creativity. You don't realize that right now, when I am talking to you, I'm creating something. My words are going out, and I am, this energy is creating something in this world. I'm also a contributor. I'm also creating. But we have some certain idea that, okay, yes, I want to create paintings. I want to create poetry. I want to create stories. I want to create some art in any form. Not only that, we don't just stop there that, okay, I want to create something. We go that I want to create a world's masterpiece every single time. This is the idea we have.
Otherwise,
yes. Yes, very well said. Okay, so this is the idea we have about creativity. We always try to harness that, and then we start blaming and keep saying that, okay, I have a blockage, I have a creative blockage, I have this pause. Why not? Again, a perspective shifting. I had a term in one of my poems which says pregnant pause. If we just acknowledge that right now what I'm having is still I'm creating, I am creative because I'm creating something without being deliberate, without being aware of it. It's still I'm creative, it's still I'm creating. And the pause in a specific way, in this specific field, in this specific manner, is just a pregnant pause, which is going to come out later. This is the perspective shifting I was thinking about when you mentioned deliberate creativity.
I don't have that poem of yours that there's pregnant pause in.
No, I have.
Send it to me, please. I don't have it in my file.
I will send it to you. Oh, yes.
All right. So here's the key. It's again, the language of conceptuality, right? This is the language of Moreness, the language of Moreness-Culture. It is a Moreness language. Why is it Moreness? Because when you learn to conceive appropriately, you can now do things that you could not otherwise do. Where's the problem with our creativity? Our conception is creativity is to create something new and wild and exciting and that's completely different or beautiful. It's going from zero to this wonderful thing. But when you think of it, isn't creativity really just another name for improvement?
That's it.
All right. So take again too. Not only improvement, but thinking things through to the end, which in another way, just going all the way as far as you can. And the other key tool of Moreness-Culture, Way-Of-Impeccability, is perspective shifting to multiple perspectives.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's say I'm this artist over here, right? Let's say they said, yeah, I want to paint something. I have no idea, right? And then I said, okay, let's go step by step. First, you need a seed, like anything. You need a seed. Take absolutely anything you like. You can pick at random, but what is better is to pick something that has touched you, right? That's touched you, that's affected you. Not touch, not like this, but like this, right? Different kind of touch, right? That's touched you, right? Something that's affected you, something that grabbed you, something that, wow, that was pretty cool, or like, wow, that was that's making me really think about life, right?
Significant.
Right.
It should be significant.
Right, yes. Right. Something that has affected you in some way. It may even just be like curiosity or conundrum or complexity. All right, whatever it is, right? Pick that. Okay, so on this day, the artist says, yeah, I saw this weird bird. Okay, start with a bird. Draw any bird. Let's just say they drew a very basic bird. Yeah, I said, okay, now what? Do you like this bird? No, man, that's terrible. That's boring. Well, make it more exciting. And he goes, he makes it more exciting. I got to give it these fancy wings, and I got to make it this kind of. And then I said, well, now you've only got this bird, right? And it's kind of on its own there, right? Sort of lost. It needs an appropriate surrounding. Once you've painted that bird, the rest of the surrounding is just going to come automatically, because now the key word, appropriate. Give it an appropriate surrounding. So first you took that core, basic, boring bird and you made it more exciting to you. You made it more beautiful, exciting. You made it different. You made it unusual. You varied it in some way. And then you said, wow, okay, but I made this sort of fantasy spiritual bird. I better give it an appropriate spiritual background. And then he just folded in. It's like it just came. It's like, duh. That's the way the brain works. When you have something, it associates to another. It's very much like following links on the internet. You click on a link and then you read there and then there are more links and you go to another. That's how your brain is set up. But you just have to give it that little bit of food. So all you got to do is start with a little dot, right? So that's the thing. And Venus started with a blank page and she wrote whatever it was. And then she just started improving it and putting a variation. And then your brain, after a little bit of this, she got pulled into the thing. She got all immersed in and just forgot about the whole world. Now your brain starts firing and those synapses go and the nodes brighten up and they connect to other nodes and it's the process starts. That's the key, is the trust, right? And this is key to the conception of capital P practice. Trust. And that step 1 is in the dark. Step 2 turns the light on.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And
that's what I said to Bina, remember? I said, yes. Bina, you're going to be in the dark. You're going to not know what's going on. You're going to be in the void. Just trust it. Trust it. Don't let this be the part that defines you. Keep going despite not knowing. That's the block for people. Ego.
Okay. Another thing about, wonderfully said, because this is exactly what happens. I was thinking, like when you were talking, I was thinking about that. Whenever we have, mostly people have that, this creative blockage. I'm not going to say that it's a writer's blockage because it is not limited to writers only. Any type of artist, any type of deliberately creative person.
Yeah.
Okay, when it happens, I never heard anyone saying that oh, that was a reminder. I was stuck and I was not getting there. That was a reminder from the universe, which was saying that, okay, refresh your awareness, improve your vocabulary. Okay, look for something new. But we try to just ponder on same thing that, okay, yes, I am perfect. So I have to create perfect and I'm not going to look for any improvement in myself. I'm going to improve this painting. But this is something like just improve your more exposure. Explore something new and then you will get inspiration. So instead of just pondering your head on something like, okay, this is exactly what I want, go out and read something new, discuss something new, share something new, or explore something new. And then of course, like just break the routine. This is the problem that, okay, I'm just sitting here.
Break the routine. Yes.
This is how you are going to expand your mind. And this is how you're going to expand your creativity. So we can be deliberately creative by actually breaking the routine, breaking the patterns, exploring something new, and then you will have inspiration, new inspiration. Like it's like really changing oil of your car's engine. That's it. Just change the oil and do that. So this is what I was thinking.
Exactly. Yes? Break the routine. If you think of creating something completely new, different, take anything and just try and improve it. In other words, break it a little bit and see if you can't improve it. Right? You know, like take it apart, put it together, but in a better way. Right? That's it. Break your routine, like I said about the bird. Yeah, it's a bird, but it's not the usual bird. It's just a slightly different bird. That makes it creative.
Yes. Yes.
So when you think of deliberate creativity as simply taking anything and saying, okay, let me just improve it in the way I like. Let me add artistry to it. Let me put a variance on it. Let me come at it from a different perspective, right? Let me change it in some way. Not change it to any specific predefined way. It's just the way I feel like doing it at the moment. And you start, oh, okay, and then it feeds on itself. That's the key. Don't think that creativity is this one and done. You go A to Z and that's it. No, it's not a fixed process. By its very nature, it is going to be unknown and unknowable. Therefore, creativity is absolutely 100% about trust. Yes, but capital T, trust. What is capital T trust and why is it different to regular trust? We've mentioned this in previous episodes. The difference is capital T trust is based on impeccability, which means you've done your side. You've been thorough. You've been conscientious. You've been diligent. You've done all your prior research, right? And you've got to do the work a little bit, right? So write the nonsense. Paint just do anything. Write ugly, paint ugly, sing ugly, whatever your creative is. Do the ugly. Start ugly, edit it pretty. You'll soon see that, well, that's I don't care for this, and you improve it. I don't care, I improve it. That is essentially art, the act of improving. And what you start with, now, I would recommend starting with something that you feel strongly about. That may be, the classic of love, of course, beauty, but it could be just a mother-in-law. Doesn't matter.
Okay? Could be anything, or could be anyone.
Could be anything.
Yes, we will continue after this short commercial break. Yes, we will continue after this short commercial break. See you guys back again.
Okay.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Moreness Show with Sil and Bina. And before the break, Sil was mentioning about the deliberate creativity. Just to give you a recap of that what is deliberate creativity, Sil? Please just give us one-liners or a few liners here. What is deliberate creativity?
It is the act of trusting that you can improve whatever you start.
Wonderful.
That's it. And yes, the key. You say, well, what do you mean whatever I start with? Yeah, start with whatever. It really doesn't matter. You know, you can, in today's world especially, you can ask any AI program, say, please provide me with something completely random. One word, a sentence, an image, an idea, and they'll give you something random. Well, okay, there you go. Start with that. And then you say, well, no, that's no good. And you see, let's say they give you something, okay, I don't know, about something, say, very technical. Well, already you're in the act of creating because you're saying, no, that's no good. Yeah, you see, improving. That's it. So when we think of creating, not as necessarily being inspired, but it is starting and making those, just letting the process happen, becoming immersed in the process, and then allowing your brain to work. You need to get out of the way. Yes.
So what you are saying, it means that we have a creative blockage because of the should nonsense. In other words.
Exactly. Should and supposed to. Precise.
And also we superiority paradigm also.
Yes. We believe we know what it is and we have no clue, right? And that's the problem. The creativity is the very act of engaging in what you do not know.
Wow.
I think many painters.
We have to write this as a quote, because this is a very, very insightful quote. Because you know that, okay, of course you know that. I was just saying for myself that deliberate creativity, it is something can be life-changing, life-transformative right there. Because I know a lot of people, okay, in my surroundings, in my connections, that when they are creative people and they are creating, I always believe that, I just want to remind myself always that I'm still, no matter what I'm doing, I'm still creating something. So I cannot be uncreative. No, not in any way, in any possible way. I'm always creating something. But of course, I want to express myself in a specific way. It could be anything. It could be just your way of talking. You can be creative in that. You can be creative in your sharing. You can be creative in your communication skills, a lot of things in your business and everything. We are creating always. We are creating good or bad relationships. We are creating a better or a worse, okay, or a bad future for other people and for ourselves. We are always creating something. But when it comes to deliberately creating in a specific way, this should nonsense, because when I see, just give anyone a blank, beautiful notebook or a drawing book with some crayons or pencils or markers or pencils, whatever, just give them and ask them to immediately start doing something, unless or until they are professionals and they are trained for that. People have a fear of ruining that paper. It is very common on people. Before writing, before drawing anything, people have fear of ruining that paper. And this is where we can understand what is lack of trust. Sil is always talking about. They're saying that, okay, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. Yeah. This is where you can see that it is, I know that, okay, at least in my experience and my awareness, this is very common fear. People have that. They want to do the best because nobody wants to, innately, we don't want to spoil anything. By nature, people are good and they don't want to spoil anything. And you can see that in this minute thing that, okay, yes, just draw anything and you will see that the pause there, the hesitation, the reluctance. Okay, because the fear of ruining that beautiful paper. And this is the killer for creativity.
Well, and of course, also the fear of looking stupid and looking foolish. That's why people can't write knucklehead poetry. They can't write something bad or paint something ugly.
knucklehead poetry is like a comedy, writing a comedy, creating comedy.
Exactly. It's very difficult. I mean, comedy is one of the most hardest things to write. But still, that fear of looking stupid is what inhibits people. They want it to be perfect. But when you think of this as, okay, see how clever you are to be able to write something stupid and foolish. Our brains are stupid sometimes. We can leverage them, kind of trick them into it, right? So, Bina, I don't remember what exactly I said that I must write down, but I started writing and then different stuff comes.
We will watch the video again.
Right, yeah. So here's the key with creativity. We want to have control over it. That's not creativity. That's manufacturing.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so, there are many artists that paint the same thing. Sorry, I don't mean to be negative, and I'm not being negative. I love Thomas Kincaid's paintings, but they're always kind of the same, right? And you see a Thomas Kincaid painting, you recognize it immediately, right? I mean, they the same theme, just variations on the theme. The first ones may have been creative, but the next ones are just production, right? You're doing the same thing that you already knows, right? To get it originally has a wonderful way of using light and all that, and that was very creative with that game. But once you start to duplicate it, it's a variation. It's no longer creative; it's just variation. Right? So creativity, by definition, is venturing into the unknown.
Yes. But I have a question. If someone is doing that, like, okay, for the first time they create a painting, and after that was wonderful, amazing, new idea, new concept, everything was new, and they did. But the second time, according to their understanding, their perception, they want to improvise this and they want to recreate that. Then what's the problem in it?
Yeah. Okay. So
production or creativity.
Is it what? Say again, please.
As you were saying about Thomas King, that okay, this is a production, but maybe in his mind it was just an improvisation, and he just
I'm just using him as an example. That's why I'm sort of apologizing a little bit, because there's a lot more to it. I was just trying to use. I can't think of something just to give an example or something. An artist that as their paintings are very distinct and very unique. I mean, it's not like one is different to the other, I mean, you got a style, yes, but they all the same theme and subject matter, country houses mostly, and that's it. Yeah. Okay, so this whole idea of creativity, it is doing something where you do not know how it happens. Right?
Again, trusting the process. Yeah.
Yes. It's allowing yourself, creating the space. Right? I'm writing it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or in other very common way of saying that, okay, letting it go. Just let it be. Just let it go. This is what everybody is talking about, and we are trying to do that. The question is, $1 million question, sir. How to let it go?
Mm-hmm. How to let it go. That's the key. And that's the whole point, right? So now you've got to kind of trick your brain in a little way. That's why I said just start. Whatever you start, now you're starting and this is not what you want, but you are letting go from the idea of perfection. And you're getting all involved in the stuff that you don't want. But at the same time, you're being patient and you're waiting, which is part of trust, correct?
I was hinting you towards that, and I think that, okay, it is not, you're not remembering it. You have a very, very interesting term and concept, of course, not a term, very interesting concept of controlled abandonment.
That's right. All right, so that's the key. Yes, Bina, I forgot about that, and I mentioned that to you at the time too. Controlled abandon. You said, wait a second. How can you have controlled abandon? Absolutely. If you look on the internet, you can just look at skiers, mountain skiers or snowboarders going down like ridiculously steep mountains, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's sort of a thing, you'll find these videos. Watch them carefully. At first, they're just falling down the mountain, for heaven's sake, but they're not crashing. But if you watch it very carefully, when they touch the mountain, they have a little bit of a break in, and they go through the air bit and another little bit, go a little bit sideways. They are controlling that fall, but they have to abandon themselves to it because they can't. It's too steep to do it, so they have to control the abandon. If they completely abandon, well, then they'll just be tumbling and going crazy, right? So they're controlling the abandon.
The point, sir. This is the point I was really waiting for, because when people have that, this idea that, oh, just start writing, just start creating, don't worry about these things, they just try to do something completely random. And of course, we are not, human mind is not designed to do things like completely randomly. We can do this, but it is not easy for us. It is not innate to us. What we can do is deliberately create something which you know, and then start following the lead from that creation. This is the writer's blockage. This is the real key. What still I was waiting for the moment that you can actually just come to that. Because this is the control abandon. That yes, you are letting it go, but also you are not leaving your creative skills. Follow your skills, shine and polish your skills. Okay, you know that you have a theme. This is the control thing. You have a theme. Okay, follow that theme. Whatever is coming from your subconscious, just write it down. It, as Sil was saying, it doesn't have to be the first word. It can become a last word in your writing, in your story, or it can be a last thing in your painting. It can be a last stanza of your poem, but you can just start. And this is the thing that it has to be. This is the control abandon. Wonderful concept.
Absolutely. And another concept that's important for creativity is this understanding that I is more than one.
Come on, now you are actually bringing us to a completely different concept, and we will continue
it's
after
connected.
The break. We will continue after the break.
All right. Very excited. I love it.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to our discussion, and this is Moreness Show with Sil and Beena, and Sil was sharing such a wonderful concept, and we were talking about control abandonment. I was just queuing, I was trying to win them because this is something I was really spellbound when I tried to understand that. This is a very interesting concept. Please, Sil, continue.
All right, so well it led to just, you see, the brain has this ability to make jumps via association, but you don't necessarily know how it gets to that, right? So we have to trust the brain's ability to make jumps that you can't clearly see the association. But here's the point I want to make. When it comes to being creativity, it's trusting the self. The self is not one. The self is a collection. So our brain literally, go and look at the brain. We sort of, most in popular culture, we know left brain, right brain. But talk to people who know about the brain. There's the forebrain, the right brain. The forebrain has got multiple parts. It's like, I don't know, we've got like 12 or 13 brains, right? A whole bunch of them. Okay. People talk about the lizard brain. That's added to your left and right brain and the frontal cortex and all this. We have many different brains, right? And that's the way we work, much like our computers, right? Everybody knows about the CPU. Well, if you're a little bit up on your technology, especially if you're a gamer, you'll know about GPU. Most of your game is dependent on the GPU, the graphics processing unit, right? As opposed to the CPU. So it's changed. And then you've got all these sub things. In other words, the power that makes you able to play a game, because a game is an incredibly complex calculation, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. But that enables you to do this is because they are specializing in doing the calculations for graphics as opposed to the regular calculations that are maths or language or whatever, right? So all specialized. That's the way our brains are also. Now, we have this idea because of ego that we're all one and because we're contained in one thing. But really, when you look at, well, your computer, where is the stuff actually happening? Is it happening in the RAM? It's all of these different things working together. That's how we are. Now, when it comes to creativity, we have to trust that creative side. We want to have control over it, but we don't know how it works. So all you've got to do, like Abina said, is to make space for it, right? And that's the creative, the controlled abandon. You let things come and you maybe tweak it a little bit and you adjust it and to get what you want, right? But you don't know where it's coming from and how it's coming. And you have to absolutely trust this, right? So Bina, you asked me to write that quote down and I have no idea what it was, but as I started writing, this is part of Way of Impeccability. It's learning to self-quote and learning to put things down in quotable form. Now, maybe I have to edit it a bit, so this was just right off, while I'm talking and writing. So anyway, creativity is, here we go. Creativity is the act of starting with no idea whatsoever and then trusting you'll deal with the unknown in a way which satisfies whatever your idea of creativity is.
Wow.
So give up that you have any idea of what creativity is. You don't know. And that's the point of creativity. It is precisely by definition stuff coming to you, connecting to stuff, whatever that you do not know. It's new. Creativity comes from the word create, which is to make something out of nothing. Yes. So we want to have control. I got another one real quick. Creativity is allowing yourself to do something without having a clue how.
Without having a clue how.
Yeah.
Or without having a clue of what?
No. How? The what doesn't matter. We don't care what we create when we're creating, but we're so controlling. We want to know how so that we can duplicate it. Yeah. Because we fear that, if I don't know how, then that's the point. We're always looking to know precisely how it's done. There is no knowing how to create. It is a magic that comes out of nothing. Right? So it's creativity is allowing yourself to do something without having a clue how. Very few people can be willingly ignorant. That's what creativity is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So just because this is again why this topic came because in the last session, in the last bonus show, Sil mentioned this deliberately being creative. And this was, of course, connected to some other concept. And I said, okay, this is what I want to, of course, explore more. Whenever we are choosing a topic, it is just to enhance our awareness and, of course, sharing this process. What happens today? I'm just sharing the crux of this whole show today. Because what happens, it still started sharing things about deliberately creative, which leads to the problem of course, we all are facing, mostly people are facing, having a creative blockage. It is connected to why it is valuable, because it is valuable. The whole philosophy behind the concept of creative and deliberately creative or being deliberately creative is to solve or resolve a problem. And that problem, now the second thing was how we can actually resolve this problem. Then we still actually goes into that, okay, this is the point by point thing, this is what you can do. And then also, like always, perspective shifting. First, to acknowledge that you are not broken, your system is not corrupted, you are not blocked, you are still creating something. Yes, you want something specific. Now this is the thing. And then on top of that, all those tips and points about resolving the creative blockage. Second thing, the last thing was the moreness. The moreness that yes, this is a
moreness to come.
Abandon. This control abandon concept is actually the moreness of it. This is what we talk about always, like moreness. So today, why I'm sharing all the crux like in this way, it resolves the problem. If you can just follow that, it can resolve a problem. It will give you awareness about these things. It is providing you the perspective shifting. And after that, it is giving you something more as a bonus, which is the concept of control abandon. Thank you so much, sir. Please continue.
Bina, I want to just jump a little bit here. The creativity, stop coming randomly. In the subcontinent, and I know it was where I come from also, people would add right behind the word, and I'm trying to think of examples, and of course we're trying to think of examples very difficult.
It is Sanskrit. It is a Sanskrit dialect which says like, okay, like Karan Arjun, it will say Karan Arjuna, like Arjuna. This is the sound.
Right, it adds up. Right, but people use it in common language too. Like they'll say mother or you know, or car or something like that. And it's I don't know, it enlarges whatever you have, right? It kind of adds to it a little bit, kind of come. Anyway, so there's a reason I mentioned this, because it adds an extra dimensionality to it, to whatever you're putting the on, right? That you're adding this on. And it's hard to identify exactly what is being added, right? What would you say? A moreness to it? That does it add a kind of a moreness?
Okay. I can say that it's an abstract superlative. You are adding the abstract superlative.
Good. That's perfect. All right. So on this point, I want to share that poem that Bina mentioned. I know Bina had no idea I was going to share this, and I just take every opportunity I can to share Bina's poem. But I have to hurry up because we're at the end. Right? The poem Bina mentioned, the first one, right? So it's been in the past tense, but also play on Bina's name, right? Bina, just an idea. Right, so here's the poem. Bina, just an idea, floating in space, an embryonic planet, scrambled array of cells, no space for light to fill. What happens then? Intent breathe, light passing through, creating space in between, arranging cells, creating patterns, opening possibilities, moving ahead, intent reset, patterns dismantle, arrays implode, ruination begins, purification smokes. Space within meets space eternal. Cycle of life. Peace.
Thank you so much, sir. This is so brilliant. Okay, not saying because this is mine. I'm saying this. I just gave a disclaimer that, okay, I feel that this poem is much bigger than me.
Yes.
This is
and see, this is why I wanted to read the poem. Because Bina can legitimately say it's brilliant. Why? Because when Bina wrote this, it came through her, not from her.
Okay.
And that's the true magic of creativity. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yes, we will continue. We will continue next week, and we will talk more about poems, specific poems also. We are going to share that.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll have next week we'll do Moreness-Poetry.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Everybody.
We will see you guys next week. Thank you, Kristen.
This has been The Moreness Show with Sil and Bina. Tune in each week as they focus on bringing joy and peace of being to us all. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Bold, Brave TV network. Powered by B2 Studios.